Hey everyone, my name is Sean Cecil from the Oculus Institute, and today is the first in a 4-part series on the DISC Psychometric, which is going to help you understand yourself and what kinds of careers are going to work for you. So today is the first in a 4-part series on the DISC Psychometric. So DISC is D-I-S-C, and we're going to spend one day going over each of those letters because each one represents a different type. Before we do, just a couple caveats. One is people don't necessarily fall into just one of those letters. Actually, that's really rare. So only like 5% of people are just one. So don't be surprised if multiple of these apply to you. The second is these things are all 0 to 100. It's not a binary thing. So you can have somebody who's kind of a high D, and you can have somebody who's a really high D. So just be aware that as you're going through, some of it may resonate with you and some of it won't. If all of it really resonates with you, you're really high there. If about half of it resonates with you, you're mid-range. And if you're just like, that's not me at all, then you're on the low end. So those are just some things to be aware of. With that said, let's dive in and let's talk about the first scale on the DISC psychometric, which is high D. So D is for drive, dominance, and decisiveness. It correlates with the alchemical element of fire. And in the brain, neurochemically, it correlates with high dopamine levels, high epinephrine and norepinephrine levels, which by the way, epinephrine is also known as adrenaline. So that's the common name that people may know as, but when it's in the brain, neuroscientists call it epinephrine. So high Ds are people who, they have a lot of drive. They're the kinds of people who will put everything they have into something. They are laser focused on outcomes, right? The kinds of questions that you're gonna hear high D ask are what and when, as in, what do we need to get done and when do we need to get it done by? Right? They're the kinds of people who do whatever it takes to get there. Sometimes they'll take some shortcuts, right? Because they want to get that outcome and whatever it takes to get that outcome. They tend to be perfectly fine with conflict, right? So if they're not getting their way, don't be surprised if they get angry, right? That's kind of their default coping pattern. And they love competition, right? Like anything, that's a competition, right? If you think of like, professional athletes, if you think of like hunters in the old days, right? All this kind of stuff, these are, this is very much the high D component of things. Now, their superpower is that they will put in more effort, they will have more grit, they will have more resilience. You can knock them down and they will get back up. They are fighters, they are warriors, they will get stuff done. Their weaknesses are sometimes they'll take shortcuts, so then they'll get the outcome and then it will fall apart later. Or they'll get the outcome and there will be a bunch of collateral damage. And then the other one is that because of the anger component, right, that can off-put people, especially in today's society. Anger is just not as well received as it was, 50 years ago or whatever. People don't like being treated like that, and they're not afraid to say it, and so there ends up being some resistance. So as a high D, if that's you, it's really important to learn to control your temper, process your own emotions, and keep that drive and that grit and that resilience. So in terms of careers, what kinds of careers will work for a high D? So high Ds love the ability to get a reward, right? This comes from this dopamine, right? It's the neurochemical of motivation. So if you have something where a high D has, hey, if you achieve X goal, you're gonna get a raise, or you're gonna get a bonus, or you're gonna get a promotion. They eat that stuff up like candy. Now, what's really gonna frustrate a high D is if they're sitting there maintaining a process where they're not implementing any change and there's not really any clear path of a reward, that's gonna drive them crazy, right? They don't like doing the same thing. They wanna go do something new, right? Dopamine is the molecule of more, as to quote the title of a book. Right? Dopamine's always looking for more, better, and different. Like, how can we do the change? How can we make this better? How can we improve, right? It's all about finding that next thing, right? So high Ds wanna be in this fast-moving, high-change environment and the other thing is they love meritocracy. They want their achievements and their outcomes to be connected to rewards for them, right? If they're in a situation where they can't increase their ability to, get a promotion or raise or whatever, they will start looking for other jobs, right? So if you're a high D, put yourself in an environment where that's on the table. In order to be an entrepreneur, a high D is almost always required. I have met entrepreneurs who have been successful who are not high Ds. They almost always have either a business partner or a coach or a spouse or an advisor or somebody who is a high D to help them through those challenges of entrepreneurship. Because that's where this resilience comes in. That's where the grit comes in. That's where making the hard calls and the hard decisions come in. And that's where you want that warrior energy, right? And so as a high D, those are the kinds of environments you want to tend to. If you're a low D, right, then you probably don't want to be in those environments. You don't want to be in a competitive environment. environment, right? If you're talking about a situation where you have, there's a thing that they do on some sales teams where, if you're in the bottom 10%, then you just get fired, right? For somebody who's a low D, that is terrifying, super uncomfortable. For someone who's a high D, they're like, well, then I'm not gonna be in the bottom 10%, right? Like that's the way that they look at it, right? Somebody who's a low D is not going to want to be making all those hard decisions. They're gonna want more structure. They're gonna want more stability. They're gonna want, less change, right? So if you're a low D, right, then avoid those environments. So that's the description of high D. There are a lot more ways that you can take this in other areas besides career and all that. And that would be for potentially another video or another time or something along those lines. For now, we're gonna be moving on to the next video in this series, which is gonna be the high I, so the I of DISC. Looking forward to seeing you and talking about that next week. Hey everyone, I hope you enjoyed this video. If there's something that resonated with you, maybe a new connection that you made or some information that shifted your perspective, if you found value here, then I want to give you one last gift. So I've put together a free diagnostic that I call a checkup with the career doctor. Short list of questions, and as you answer them, it's going to give you a readout of where you stand on the important metrics of career fulfillment, right? How happy are you with your job and how good a fit is it? Right? Financial success, which we all know, and then internal alignment, which is your level of inner peace and the inner resources that you have to bring to creating the life that you want. Additionally, it's also going to show you which areas you can improve on to get those metrics moving in the right direction, as well as how can we at the Oculus Institute help you make progress. So it's totally free, 100%. All you have to do is just go to www.oculusinstitute.com/purpose quiz, right? No spaces, no dashes, just oculusinstitute.com. That's OCULUSINSTITUTE.com/purpose quiz. And you can take it totally for free. You'll get a free report sent to you. And then at the end, it will give you some next steps of what you can do to reach out so that we can help you create the career of your dreams.